Hello and welcome to episode number 2. Just a short journey today. I think we're going to be currently in Erfurt, and I think we're going to be hauling the 26 tons of excavator to Glasgow, 600 miles, 315 miles on the ferry. Trip time 32 hours and 7 minutes. Hopefully will be considerably quicker than that. Only got 50 odd minutes to get there. Apologies, it's at night. Just switch on all the lighting. But it'll be daylight soon. Put my headphones on, that's better. Okay, get some lights on the go. I've got no fuel. That's really very, very helpful indeed. So this could be interesting. I've got to get to the delivery, which is luckily just around the corner. Now, I've not driven this wagon for a while. Oops. So, you'll have to bear with me whilst I get used to it. And it's also raining. So yeah, it's all go. The red lights. I know some people don't like the mirror there, but I must admit I find it I haven't got track IR or anything exciting like that, so in order to look around I have to use the mouse. So I find it's just easier to keep that right hand mirror on the screen all the time. Okay, select that. Take job. Right, as you can see, this is not stock. Apologies for the 0 frames as well. We've got Tricky Map installed. Version 2, I think it is. Yeah, that frame rate is shockingly small, isn't it? I'll just see if this works. A second, reduce it down. Graphics. Where are we? This might upset it somewhat. To be honest, do that. That should be happy with that. Take a little bit off. Probably won't make any difference. Anyway, there's the excavator. I've got Tricky Maps version 2 installed. Which just adds, I think we're going to need that tag axle down. Just check the load. Is it strapped on securely? Yes, with my magical invisible straps. There's the outside. I think we should put the beacons on, which is this button. safe. Back in the cab. Not necessarily advisable. Am I going to clip the edge of that trailer? Because that would be a bad start, wouldn't it? Yeah, so that is a bad start, isn't it, really? Too bothered about the license. We didn't hit it though, that's the main thing. Well, tricky map for a reason. I was just going to say it's not that tricky. And he nearly crashes, so... Oh, yes, well done. Switch the engine off, that's going to help. Oh, it's all going. Pete, Tom. I've done it again. I'm not used to gear selectors are back to front. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, telephone's ringing. Never mind. So, off to Glasgow, assuming we can get out the yard. Oh, it's really not going well today. I'm not even using the mirrors. To concentrate more. Oh, jeez. Well, if you're still watching after that debacle, thank you very much. Anyway, hopefully normal service... Oh dear, normal service will be resumed shortly. Things down the right side of the road. Scania T. Yeah, sorry, too late. Amber Gambler. I had no idea it was coming. This is a disaster. This is an actual disaster. What, I'd say I'd not driven the truck for a while, but yeah. I don't know, I think I was going considerably faster than I thought there. Well, hopefully there's some comedy value in this, if nothing else. Maybe it's the talking and driving thing. I'm only used to talking to the voices in my head. I never listen. To be honest, I'm hoping they'll get bored and go away, but you know, it's either that or medication. I'm joking. Shouldn't joke about things like that. Main beams. I'll run with main beams on probably more than you should, because I will be blinding on coming traffic. But I imagine this video's... There we go, there it is with the gearbox, look. I'm going to change down, maybe? Any chance of that? No danger of that whatsoever. Must remember to pick up some fuel. Now, there we go. I think I've got no chance with the fuel. I think I will be breaking down, and I think this would... Oh, I'm going the wrong way anyway. Why on earth do I do that? Oh, I'm going to have to pull the tapes and look back at that. Oh, I'm sure it's a good... You know, on the bright side, I've not been down this road before. Let's just have a look at the map here and see where we're at with fuel. Well, it's not... It's not a total loss. Fuel's nearby. I shall have a look on the computer in a minute and see whether that's feasible. But it's not a total loss, but it's a slightly more imaginative route. I think we've got the scenic route. Yes, that's. I totally intended on coming this way. Oh yeah, it's in the plan all along. It looks like it's nearly stopped raining. I'm struggling to get up the hill. Which I find surprising. Well, that's I suspect it's my driving. Quick before that car comes. Yep, sorry for blinding you. Yep, sorry. Turning through those gears. Oh, no, I guess we can't make it. I was just thinking I'd best check the computer. Well, so yeah, excellent start. Well, that's what happens when you run your truck low on diesel. On the, excuse the pun, bright side, I'm not blinding oncoming traffic. Now, I suspect I could have drifted, could have coasted to that fuel station had I have chosen the correct route. So I think there's a number of lessons to be learned here. One of which is, don't let me inside a truck. I think I best put some hazards on and miss that, that marker post there and just pull over to this side of the road. There we go. And put the handbrake on so we don't roll away. And call for recovery. Call service centre, yes. Yes, that's fine. 1 hour and 48 minutes. Plenty of time, he said optimistically. Very kindly, they put a bit of fuel in the tank. Switch the hazards off. Start the engine. Put it in gear. Start in second. Switch the wipers off because it's not raining anymore and the sun is up. Just main beams off. Right, switch the keep side lights on. Handbrake off. Pre-journey checks and quickly nip outside. All good. Back in the cab and we're off. Take 2. Map on the there we go. See if I can go the right road this time. Oops, I can't even indicate the right direction. So yeah, excellent start. Now turning left. The disadvantage, of course, of having the mirror, mirror on the right, top right-hand corner there, is the fact that 90% of the time you can't see the traffic signals. I've got it down to a little bit of a fine art and stopping in exactly the right position so I can see the signal through the little gap on the right hand side of the screen there. This is red, so what do you think you're doing there? The van drivers. Yes, apologies for the apparent low frame rate. I don't know whether you can see the shadow play indicator, but we're typically about 25 frames per second. Shadow play. NVIDIA's shadow play is the capture device I'm using, which is hopefully, yeah, of course it is, yes, it's capturing at 1080p, 60 frames per second, which seems somewhat redundant if the game's only running at, as is currently, 35 frames per second. This is the bit where I go straight on and not randomly indicate right. I really need to get to grips with my braking. The video card, come on van. Video card is the Zotac GTX 980, which is slightly overclocked. Stock cooling for the Zotac. Running at, I think, something like 1420 megahertz, maybe? I can't honestly remember the GPU. I think out the box it's somewhere around about 1376 it's boosting. But I've slightly over tweaked settings with NVIDIA Inspector, which kind of works with Euro Truck, depending on what you tweak. Fiddle about with the I think it's anti-aliasing. Maybe wound up a little high, so on top of the fact that Euro Truck doesn't seem to be massively well optimised, possibly due to various modifications we've got in game, that coupled with me bodging settings and stuff means I've not got the greatest frame rate in the world. All the graphic settings in the game were on Ultra, apart from, as you saw, turned down the just the mirror draw distance there to high. We have fuel station hopefully coming up shortly. Yes, it is. So everything else is maxed out. So I'm asking a lot of the card. I'm asking a lot of the game. It's not too bad you stay there, car. I think I'll just habitually overtake everybody. I'm going to have to slow down here. I'm one of those irritating people who will overtake you and then slow down in front of you. I do not drive in a particularly fuel efficient way. Oh, I love the fact that the auto box seems to just drop into neutral, if you like, when you're braking. So you get no engine braking at all sometimes. Like that. Still, I suppose, you know, too bad. Go, brake on, engine off, fuel up. Won't take long. I'm running the very short chassis. Cracky. Yeah, that didn't take long. Right, running the very short little dumpy chassis, and the fuel tank is tiny, so I imagine quite a few fuel stops will be required. Try not to hit the fuel pumps because that won't go down that well. You going to change gear for me? No. Thanks for that. Right, so we've gone from 3rd to 9th. Still can't get used to this auto box. I'm pulling out, so either slow down or there we go, that's it. I've a modified computer, dashboard computer, which is this button. Try not to crash. And you've got fuel in the tank. I don't know about you, but I'm struggling to read that, but the monitor is quite far away and it looks tiny to me. Not a fault of the modification, more a fault of my eyes. And to be fair, I should be looking at the road and not the dashboard display. You've got the economy. You've got the various temperatures there, fuel and water. Fuel, oil and water rather. Battery voltage. Scania logo. Leave it on the fuel economy. Now straight on. It's good. No, it's not. Sorry. Okay. The two little bars you can see at the bottom, in case you haven't already gathered, the air pressure, tank levels, the braking. Do find when you're bobtailing or deadheading or just running with the tractor unit, you do tend to get through quite a lot of air. That's mainly because I don't think the engine revs stay very high for very long, so if you're moving around from point A to point B, say between collection or delivering a collection point, you kind of have to watch your braking and make sure you don't go too crazy with the brakes, otherwise you'll run out of air and then you just, well, locks up, you're stranded until your air pressure builds up. Don't have to sit there with it idly. I find logically so, the air pressure builds up quicker, of course, if you rev the truck. So, but yeah, it could be a bit. There's a bit of a traffic issue. Get some traffic lights and you run out of air, you can't release your brakes. But when you're hauling a load, the engine spends a greater amount of time revving, so it keeps the air stocked up nicely. Owner operator, so you don't have to abide by any company speed limits, just the national speed limits, the road type, as you can see. Steadfastly sticking to that rule then. Only doing 72 and a 50. Interested in any of the modifications I've got installed. Currently running the bad driver modification, as you can see that works a treat. No, I shall list the modifications in the description, mainly because I'm running so many. I've got far too many things in this. The game log is a little messy with various errors and things, so I'm running some outdated modifications and all sorts of things. So it's amazing the game works. It's almost 100% stable, as long as you don't do anything that makes it crash. There's just a couple of trucks where there's some options held over from other trucks, and if you select them, that crashes the game out. But pretty much everything else, I can't think of. Certainly, if you're just driving around, typical gameplay, there's nothing that I've come across that crashes it. I've not come across any invisible walls on any of the maps. Running TSM 5.4, Rust map 1.8.3, and recently installed Tricky map, as you've seen. The installation of Tricky map has caused a conflict, which has disconnected TSM from the rest of the world, apparently. I've not looked into that because I've only noticed it today. So I'm kind of hoping, since this is my main profile, kind of hoping that I can just uninstall Tricky map and TSM will rectify itself. I'm fairly confident it will, because I think Tricky map only modifies the models at the various delivering collection points and various freight companies, I think. So hopefully that shouldn't be too harmful for the game overall. But like I say, I've got lots of modifications. There's probably a fair amount in there that I have installed, tried, and the novelty's worn off and stuff. So I really need to have a good spring clean the old mod folder, and I think that would make the game run a little bit smoother than it does at times. This isn't too bad. This is totally playable. I'm currently about 45 frames per second. So it's more than playable. It looks nice enough. So it's not too much of an issue. I do like the sound of this V8. It's sort of an open pipe sound. You can get outside the truck without crashing. Oh. So this is why I do not play this the fashion in the left-hand lane and back in the truck before I end up crashing. It would be splendid if I could get through a delivery without crashing, because apparently that's the name of the game in haulage. A to B with as little crashing as possible. Preferably almost 0 deaths. I'm quite enjoying this force feedback modification, not modification, plug-in. Sort of moving towards being happy with the settings. When I first installed it, it was, how can I put this? Insane, to say the least. But it's not too bad now. There was an issue with. See if I can replicate it. No, I can't. I fixed it. Basically, if you let go of the wheel, or you let the wheel, speeding, blah blah, let the wheel control the truck more than you, if you like, in the centre position like that, it would rock from side to side a bit like that of its own accord, and it would just get worse and worse and eventually you'd die. And basically that's because the dead zone, out the box, the dead zone is set to 1. There's an I ini file of the feedback, and in there the dead zone was set to 1, which I think is the smallest. I suppose you could have 0 possibly. I want to try it, but it was set to 1, and that led to a situation where basically the wheel, when it was absolutely dead centre, would obviously be in the dead zone, but anything other than absolute dead centre, it would try and correct itself back to dead centre. And of course there's a little bit of momentum within the actual structure of the wheel, so it would correct itself, overshoot onto the other side, and then it will go, hold on a second here, I want to be in centre, and it corrects itself, and it just get caught in a loop. And the further it will go away from dead centre, oh dear, I'm paying attention, further away it would move from dead centre, the greater the force it would use to correct itself. So it was like a sort of a negative or a positive feedback loop. This gearbox is, what can I say? That's still, it's a work in progress. I still need to tweak that properly. So anyway, yes, that would be an issue. It'd be all right if you've got a hand on the steering wheel, but as soon as you let go or reduce the amount of effort in holding the steering wheel, it would become a bit of an issue. I can typically steer with one hand. In real life I drive a manual, 6-speed manual diesel, and I tend to historically only use one hand a lot of the time. I do use two hands and advise people to do the same. Obviously it's safer than one hand, but my default setting is one hand only. I'm a firm believer that if you see people who steadfastly hold the wheel with two hands unless they're changing gear, and you even see them at traffic lights and they're there holding the wheel at two hands, running out of fuel again, yippee. But if you become too used, I think if you become too used to holding the wheel with both hands, if a situation, an emergency, an event scenario was to develop, hello, that's alright, saving. If a situation were to develop where you could only control the car with one hand, that's foreign territory, you know. So I think it pays to be used to controlling the vehicle in a range of scenarios with both hands. We're going for an O-take here. We've got a bit of a long stretch of road. Well, it's not that long. We've got some speed on. You want to be late with the delivery. I'll get around this. Oh, good, fuel. Must pick up fuel. Tell you what, when I oh, over there, we're far too fast. Ah, yes. I think we'll class that as a complete fail. I'll automatically using the trailer brake. Yeah, fail. As you can see, I don't do this for a living. I'd like to. Right, handbrake. Engine. Fuel. Which is this one. I'd like to do it for a living. But of course in the virtual world I tend to be a little slack. Right, whilst we've stopped, I was going to look at delivery time. Next rest stop 2 hours, and crikey, that's flown by 2 hours, so we've got 44 hours left. Need it by Monday, 9 o'clock Monday morning. It's half Saturday, I think we'll make it. It says 24 hours, I suspect there's probably about 10 hours, maybe 9 hours on the ferry. Might be a bit quicker than that, so engine, brake, indicator, forward gear, second will do. Hopefully that'll. I think going that way. Nothing that I can see that way. Other vehicles stop there. What's that about? What's what on earth? What's that about? Random? So on the bright side, apart from the bad driving, there's been very little crashing so far, and as far as I'm aware, nobody's died. So the boss will be happy. I say the boss, I'm my own boss, aren't I? Company driver. I'll be happy with that. And make it to the other end and nobody dies. And I'm sure the company I'm hauling for, whoever that may be, has totally not been paying attention for that. Is it? Oh, it's Caterpillar themselves. Caterpillar will be happy with that. Oh dear, really totally need to get to grips with the braking. Slightly over-egged that because I'd really like to not knock that sign down. That's right, okay. So that bit about the lack of crashing, can we just power away out this? Not really. So this is going to require a the old hazards on, it won't make any difference. see if we can just power through it. Yes, sweet. However, we seem to be stuck in first. There we go. Hazards off. I want to clip that barrier. We'll pretend that didn't happen. I think that's probably the best plan of action. Apologies if you just heard a thunder-like rumbling there. It would be in my stomach. I've yet to have breakfast. I do, however, have half a cup of cold coffee. So it's not too bad. I've no idea where we are. Oh, it says 600 miles left. Well, 559 miles. So I think it's 300 odd, 315 miles on the ferry. So yeah, about 250 miles. So it shouldn't be much longer, folks. Before it's all over. Judging by my driving, it may even be quicker than that. So anyway. Video 2, my testing, seeing whether I'm even vaguely any good at vlogging or YouTubing. Yes, I suspect there's quite a lot of yawning going off during this video. Find myself defaulting to just listening to that engine. Sounds sweet. I've got a lot of time for the modding community and the work they do. A lot of respect for the skills they have, main change, the skills they have, because there's a lot of things that you'll see in this game that people have put a lot of hours into and provide great support as well on the forums. I tend to use primarily the SCS forum. So I've suddenly become less interested in lane discipline. Yeah, the main forum I use is the SCS forum. I check one or two of the others as well. But the SCS forum seems certainly seem to be a friendly bunch on there. But like I say, I think there's a lot of skills. Zero frames there. I think it might be prudent to pick up a little bit of fuel whilst we're here. Keep the tank stocked up because it really is tiny. This chassis is, I think it's, I'm guessing it must be sort of like a 200 litre tank, which when you turn the indicator off. Oh, I was going to say I didn't think I'd stop the engine. 200 litre tank, which when you sort of doing 100 miles to the 100 miles to the litre, I think that would be fine economy for a big truck. If you're doing 100 litres to the mile, oh, that's not right either, is it? What's it says on the screen? Litres per 100 miles. There we go. Oh. So it's typical. So we're doing 70, averaging 78. 78 litres for 100 miles. It's quite simple when you think about it. Let's put the brake on so it roll away. Get some shut eye. Oh, excuse me, I thought of that. The trouble is, it's all dark now, but we have lights. What is it? Still hear the birds though. Tweeting away. Some lights on. Yeah, when you're doing 70 odd litres, 70 odd miles to the, that's right, 70 odd litres to the 100 miles. I'm totally used to miles per gallon, and litres and miles, it doesn't. Hey, thanks for letting me out, that's great. Yeah, thanks. They always do that. Leave it till the last second and then let you out. It makes no sense whatsoever. I must admit the AI, the artificial intelligence in this game, I think is pretty realistic, because it does some. Hopefully this is a save, not a crash. Actually, I don't think it's a save. Saving's seems to be a lot quicker than that, so I'm not quite sure what it is. Anyway, on the road again. I guess the AI seems to be quite realistic, I think, certainly for UK driving, because it does all sorts of mad things. Bit of a wiggly road. I mean, it's by no means perfect, the AI, but not bad. I've definitely seen improvements, even though I've only been running the game for 3 or 4 versions maybe. Since maybe the beginning of November, I think, maybe late October. Been a couple of upgrades, some fairly sizable. Far too fast approaching that, then over braking, so now we're going far too slow. Excellent driving. I find these slip roads can be incredibly bumpy. Oops. Oh, this is shocking. This is a little bit like this drive really is. Oh, come on, gearbox, sort it out. I have no idea what I was saying. Just gobsmacked at my own ineptitude. I'm thinking about breakfast, that's what it is. The faster I drive, the closer I get to breakfast. I'm turning here, this is bad news. Cut that car up, no problems. I may have to visit a garage service centre. And, excuse me. Change the gearbox. Because although it's an application extension, it's the AI behind the gearbox. It's only successful at changing the gears when your gearbox input, if you like, is set to fail. Set to in fact, let's do that now in the middle of the road, because it's causing me a degree of anxiety. Sequential. You set it to sequential, but I tend to run real automatic because that's more real. I think the other issue is that, oops, you have to put it in gear, don't you? the other thing I'm suffering with is the frame rate is causing me issues. So we're at the port. Yes, this is possibly, I don't know where it is, and I think we're going to... I'm not even going to attempt to say that, but we're going to Newcastle upon Tyne. 16 hours 30 minutes. Luckily, that is the fastest 16 hours 30 minutes ever, so we're all good. Engine's on still, that's fine business. I know where I am with this gearbox. Can't recall the actual gearbox that is oh, we're in the UK now, aren't we? I'll have to watch myself there. Might be 21 speed. I'm looking at it, those gears. Kinda hope that's 21 speed. I doubt we'll get sealed 21 gears though on UK roads. Still not got the braking down to a T though, have I? Go, go, go. Definite frame drop in towns and cities. I must admit, I don't normally notice it, but I just happen to be thinking about it there. I'm going. Don't you? Thank you. Always makes me nervous, that particular corner there. Yeah, now I notice. I've thought about the frame rate, I can't help but notice it. We're down to about 30, and we're picking up now 30, 34, 39, so on and so forth. 183 miles to go. Apparently 4 hours 46 minutes, arrival time 9:30 tonight. But I shall be putting my foot down a bit. With a view to getting there a little bit before that. Hopefully Caterpillar will be happy. Oh, nearly. No, tilt on the camber on the road there. I'm going. Oh. Snooze, you lose. I have a suspicion, thinking about it. Let's put my hazards on. Yeah, there's a frame rate. I think the notice it then. I think I may have slightly too many flares on the lights, or lights with flares rather. The indicators, and I think it's causing sort of the frame rate drop. I've had that before, although not so much with this card, more with the previous video card. It was quite a significant, drop in frame rate when indicating, which leads to a sort of a pulsing world effect. So it's incredibly difficult to gauge speed. Fundamentally, you can work. It's easy enough to adjust to a low frame rate where everything's slow and jerky, and it's obviously easy enough to adjust to a good frame rate. But when it's swapping to high, low, fast, slow, it's really, you can't. Your brain sort of struggles to compensate for that, because it's not very realistic. So I found that when that happened, it was not impossible to play, but it was challenging to play. So I either bypassed it by getting rid of the offending lights, or not indicating. It's a quick fix if you're nowhere near a garage. But since I got the GTX 980, of course, it can cope a lot more with that, and it would work wonderfully if I hadn't fiddled around with the settings. Windy road. Starting to get used to this truck. Starting to get used to talking and driving. In game anyway. Do a lot of talking and driving in real life. I'm a ham radio operator, amateur radio enthusiast, and I've lost count. It's thousands and thousands of hours spent talking on the radio gear whilst in the car, to the point where it's absolutely second nature. It's talking on the radio is the equivalent of changing changing gear. The difference here is I'm not holding a microphone, and I'm sat in a room and not in a car or an actual vehicle. So you're less conscious that you're sort of being recorded or listened to, if you like. But I thought I was intrigued to see how well I could I'll rephrase that. I was intrigued to see how enjoyable it would be to provide a commentary on some gameplay, because at the end of the day I thoroughly enjoy playing these sort of simulation games, and I'm told I've got a lot to say. I'm told I've got a lot to say to for myself, so it seemed to make partial sense that I could combine the two things. Hearing the sound, two things I enjoy: playing games and hearing the sound of my own voice. Roll them into one, and maybe 3 or 4 people in the world might enjoy watching that on YouTube. I don't know, maybe the rest of YouTube's broken and this is the only thing that works. You've got to cater for all types. So yeah, I've kind of been watching a lot of gaming, I don't know, gaming YouTubers in the last sort of 6 months. A lot of output from a group called Code Zero. Over in the States, I think they're all in the States, most of them, mainly Bay Area Bugs, Northern Alex, Zach, Jeff, Bobcat 324. Excuse me. Oh, hello, lane discipline. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of their output. A lot of their Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 4, LCPDFR videos. And thoroughly enjoy it, a lot of their multiplayer stuff, and more so recently I've been watching their individual channels and picking up some of their other content from different games, which previously I've not been interested in or not aware of. Things like Armour 3, and various footage from those games. And I found it really enjoyable. They really do. I mean, it helps if you're naturally funny. And those guys have a natural talent for it, I think. Plus, they know what they're talking about as well, largely, in respect to the various games they're playing and gaming in general. And I think they're good friends. So all that sort of rolls into one and makes it a really enjoyable watch. Even if they're playing a game that I'm not necessarily interested in. It's a good way to pass the time. We're going far too fast. We're all going to die. No, we're all good. Well, at this point, due to a storage issue, recording was interrupted. So I took advantage of that to rejig a few things and give you a few more frames to look at. So I'll leave you with a blissfully commentary-free section of video, and then shortly to my wonderful driving voice back. But I've rejigged some graphic settings. I've turned scaling down to 300% out, which has given me about an extra 20 frames per second. Also got an NVIDIA inspector to just tweak the settings. I did have forcing ambient occlusion on, and I'm not sure whether this game supports it, or by default it's switched off anyway, so I've turned it back to default. Because it probably doesn't make any difference, I've no idea. I'm not a graphics guru, I just fiddle with settings until it looks pretty and works reasonably well. Anyway, let's get back on the road and finish the journey. Luckily, I remembered to save the game before I started fiddling with things. Crikey. Brake went off a bit quick then. So yeah, on the road again. Fully fueled up. Wow, and I've actually got frames now, so which country are we in? I'm not convinced that the force feedback is working. Doesn't feel like it is. No, but not to worry. We've got a few miles to go. And, uh-oh. Pretend that didn't happen. That's one of the problems with the plugins. I don't know whether it affects all plugins on Euro Truck Simulator, but when you tab out of the game and say tab out to desktop as I just have, the plugins seem to stop working. I've noticed this with fanner LEDs. If you're not familiar with fanner LEDs, FANALEDS, it's a nifty little program that works in a range of games, as well as Euro Truck Simulator. So I'm having to concentrate because I've got no feedback from the steering wheel. It's very unnerving. Yeah, fanner LEDs, it enables you to patch different functions. Patch different functions to the LED panel on the G27, the Logitech G27 steering wheel pedal combo. I think it works with a number of other steering wheels as well. And that has the same problem when you tab out. It's I think always stops working. It doesn't really have any impact in game, i.e. it doesn't cause the program, the game to crash or anything. I ran fanner LEDs to provide me with some sort of additional feedback, really, sort of one-stop shop for things like lighting and system faults, you know, engine issues, things like that, and indicators, main beam, and so on and so forth. Quite handy, just adds a little bit more. A little bit more to the user experience. Fortunately, the force feedback plug-in stops fanner LEDs from working, but the two don't play together very well. But it's okay. Kind of used to living without them now. It looks like we're going to be delivering into the quarry, so it's good stuff. Quite a bit later than I was anticipating. Oh dear, still not got braking. I don't know why. The brakes never used to be this sharp. I've oops. I think it's I've moved the pedals due to various things under the desk here. The pedals used to be offset to the right by about a foot. And since I've moved them directly underneath the steering wheel, where logically they should be, main beams on, there's nobody down here, I seem to have a tremendous problem with braking. I've always got an excuse. It's basically just rubbish driving, but let's blame the pedals. So yeah, as you can see, well, we're getting quite a few additional frames now. 50 frames, 42, 40. This is the bit where engine braking comes in. This is the bit where force feedback is very useful. Well, oops, oh dear. It's also the bit where driving skills come in useful as well, but unfortunately I've not got that plugin installed. Oh dear. So anyway, it's not gone too bad, I suppose. I've done much worse, believe it or not. But you know, just for testing purposes. Interesting. Very interesting. Yes, this will be the tricky map strikes again. Okay, so we're going there, so it's going to require me to do a 360. Should, I think, be able to do a 360 in that space. Possibly. Conveniently, the Scania T with the bit of wheel slip there by the sounds of it, the Scania T can turn on a sixpence. Short chassis with additional steering. Well, it's interesting driving, isn't it? That's completely the wrong way. I want to hit that fence if I can help it. I've totally overcooked that. Oh, that was more by look than judgment. And there you have it. The quarry. The Renault over there is not normally there. The Renault with the car behind it, not normally there. That's part of the tricky maps. Must admit, I'm liking the tricky maps. I kind of prefer the shorter deliveries, the shorter runs, because yeah, longer runs, they can be relaxing sometimes, but I like the manoeuvring. Yeah, I like the manoeuvring. It's what I'm in the game for, pretty much. The actual driving, if you like, technical bits. So tricky maps can bring a lot to that. Obviously, SES have to strike a happy medium between playability and the technical side. So they have to keep it fairly toned down, otherwise it might just be too difficult for some people who just want to have a fairly pleasant truck driving experience rather than the full bore and squeeze trailers down tight streets and so on and so forth. Anyway, there endeth. Well, it might just be one complete video. It'll be a mammoth video. That's why I had stopped and remember now. So I'd run out of hard drive space. Now, I've not got a great deal of hard drive space on the disc I'm using for shadow play. Probably 40 gig free on there, maybe. And I think this one delivery is knocking on the door of about 50, not 50 at all, I think it's about 30 gig. So it's quite a lot of space. And I'm going to attempt to render the clip using basic tools. Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube and you can hear me okay, and you can hear the game okay, and it looks okay, I'll consider that a success. Knowing how quickly YouTube processes these things, it could be a week or so before this is fully available in 1080p 60 frames per second. Pretty much out the box it should be available in 1080p 30 frames per second. It should be noted as well, I probably should have told you this at the beginning of the video, you didn't already know, but 60 frames per second doesn't work when you are using the Flash player in YouTube. It only works when you run HTML5. I think that's a limitation within Flash. It might in fact look a bit daft, it does on my machine, it looks a bit daft when you play 60 FPS videos in Flash, because I think it tries, makes a valiant effort at displaying it, but I think it only really gets around about 30, in my experience about 37 to occasionally 40 frames per second, and it sort of bounces a bit and it creates an interesting visual experience. But bearing in mind most of this game has been the low frame rate, it won't make a great deal of difference. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you for your patience if you've been viewing the whole video. Well done. And yeah, hopefully this will be the start of a bit more footage, because I play the games anyway. I'm kind of getting into gaming quite a bit now, preparing myself for Grand Theft Auto 5, which I've been waiting for what feels like a lifetime on PC. I don't own a console of any description. I did once own a PlayStation 2. Crikey, that would be the late 90s, somewhere around there maybe. I had that for about 6 months, but I've never been a console person really. I kind of like my PCs. I'm not anti-console, I just like my PCs. Let's not start that debate. Anyway, waffle over. I'll probably repeat most of this in the next video anyway. But yeah, despite what I said, oh no, actually, yeah, I didn't say it at all. If you feel so inclined and want to see more of this waffle, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, make a comment, leave a comment down below. I'm pointing, you can't see me, but if you could see me, see I'm pointing down below, just in case you don't know where down below is. Yeah, other games that I've got currently that I'm playing about in are Spintires, awesome game, coming along nicely, fairly new on the scene, and also Assetto Corsa, it's Assetto Corsa, racing simulation game in December, I think, officially. I think it's been running around in alphas and betas and such for a year or two. Awesome game. Awesome game. That requires some serious skill. And like I say, I'm new back on the scene of driving games. My last proper experience of driving games was Colin McRae Rally, which is going back in early 2000s, somewhere around there. So I've been out away from the scene. First time on the steering wheel, so there's a lot to get used to. Enjoying it very much. So yeah, hopefully you'll see more of me. And in one of the games, and of course Euro Truck Simulator. Enjoy playing that very much as well, and trying to streamline it a little bit better. So it works well with shadow play. Incidentally, shadow play doesn't give you much of a frame hit. I find whilst running it, whilst benchmarking, like sort of Unigine having 4 benchmarks, so I've got some videos somewhere on the channel. It seems I lose about maybe 3 or 4 frames per second off the benchmark shadow play versus no shadow play, which I think is more than serviceable. You wouldn't really notice that difference, I don't think. It might be different if your game is only running at 20 frames per second, but kind of working on the basis that if you're running shadow play, you've already got a fairly capable modern graphics card anyway, so a small settings tweak, I suppose, sacrifice a setting here or there to pull frame rate back up. I think it's a very serviceable, user-friendly means of recording for somebody who's very, very, very fresh on the scene like me. Seems to work very well. Big file size, well, in my opinion, big file sizes, but looking around the web, a lot of people use the likes of Fraps, and apparently they work with some seriously big file sizes. But I do believe that would take a bit of a hit on the processor side, which I could afford, because even with Euro Truck Simulator, which is quite intensive on the processor, there's still a lot of headroom. Processor doesn't really get above 50 frames per second. 50 frames per second. I'm obsessive frames per second. 50%. So I imagine the processor could more than cope with that. Again, though, PC specs, hopefully, if I remember, will all be down below, as best as I can remember. So anyway, thanks for watching. I've said that about 1,000 times, but I'm definitely going now. Hopefully see you soon. Ta for now. Right, back again, chaps, before you disappear. It occurred to me that I've actually unloaded the cargo. So I'll unload the cargo there, just so you can see the specs if you're interested. Excellent. Yeah, they've not checked that load very well, because I think it's got slightly less paint on it than it had when it left the collection point. But yeah, not too bad. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.